Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Midnight FM, a South Korean thriller from 2010 that I mentioned in my DVD collection playlist at one point. Now looking back on my Korean movie review playlist on this channel, I'm amazed that I had not yet reviewed this film in a separate video, because this is one of my favorite thrillers from the last decade. Now here's a reworded plot summary from Asian Wiki. A popular TV anchorwoman and late-night radio host prepares to work her final radio program, after which she will prepare to take her daughter to America the following morning. Now, during the radio show, she receives a startling phone call from a man who has broken into her apartment and taken her sister, niece, and daughter hostage. He then instructs her to follow his directions and not tell anyone, otherwise he will murder her family. Now, Midnight FM is a film that relies primarily on tension and suspense, with a de-emphasis on gritty violence. Now, when people think of Korean thrillers, they typically think of films that are memorable for their dark tones and disturbing violence. And in that sense, Midnight FM is a very different film from something like I Saw the Devil or The Chaser, and perhaps more similar to films like Cold Eyes or The Terror Live. So if you're someone who dislikes graphic violence in your movies, but likes to feel the anxiousness that comes with a situation that is consistently dangerous, Midnight FM is right up your alley, because it kicks into gear early and sustains that tension throughout much of its runtime. Now, everything takes over the course of an evening. Everything in this film basically happens over the course of one night. More specifically, between midnight and 2 a.m. So even though this film was not shot in real time per se, because there are short gaps of time that are skipped between some of the edits, it still gives you the same feel. And that's one of the ways in which the tension is sustained. There's simply no downtime or filler to sit through, because our protagonist and the hostages are in a constant state of urgency. So our protagonist is running around the radio studio, in the station, in an attempt to meet this bad guy's demands. And there are escape attempts that occur within her apartment as well. One interesting thing is that the villain of this film does not know that there's a second little girl who is in the apartment. So the kid kind of quietly hides and moves from room to room while she tries to either escape or call for help without the bad guy noticing. And I really enjoyed that aspect of the film, specifically. It gave it a certain level of, stifling suspense throughout, so I like that. It's difficult to tell exactly what the villain wants at first. He consistently demands that our protagonist play, a tailored musical set list of songs, and to reenact her statements from various radio shows throughout her career. And as a viewer, you think to yourself, what's the point in this? Why is this guy doing this? But you will understand during the second half of the movie, because that's when his motivations become clear and the main theme of the film is explored more thoroughly. Now, Soo-ae plays the lead role, and this is still my favorite performance from her. It's probably my favorite movie of her entire filmography that I've seen. She actually won some acting awards for this, and I think she deserved them. She's excellent in this. Ji-tae plays the bad guy. Most viewers know him as the mastermind from Old Boy, and you get to see him in a shady role again in Midnight FM. He's good in this. It seemed like he had fun with his role, and when you see the film, you'll probably agree with me on that. Dongsuk Ma has a supporting role in this. He plays a weird superfan of our protagonist, who was invited to be the final guest for the radio show. He was like a stand-in for someone else who canceled on her. But he might also be unstable himself in his obsessions with this radio host. Nowadays, Ma is typically cast in tough guy roles, but his performance in Midnight FM shows that he has some range as an actor, because he is not a tough guy in this movie. He's very awkward and socially inept, which is pretty interesting to see him play a role like this. So I hope he plays more roles like this in the future at some point, because he's really good in it. And finally, there's another actor who shows up later on in this film. I won't say who it is, because he only recently achieved mega popularity in Korea, and I completely forgot he was in this movie. So it was a nice surprise. It's basically an extended cameo, but I was shocked that I did not remember that he was in this film. In terms of flaws, there are some thriller genre cliches present, and a few contrivances here and there, but I do not think that they're enough to cause significant problems for the film. I mean, heck, right near the beginning of the movie, our protagonist immediately calls the cops when she thinks something's wrong. How many times do you see that in a thriller? You know what I'm saying? I admired her for that decision. Now, of course, the cops are generally useless like they usually are in films of this kind, but at least our protagonist makes some pretty good decisions along the way. So, Midnight FM is a crowd-pleasing genre film that gets a lot of things right. It's one of those movies that I could just watch over and over again and not get sick of it. Like, it's that entertaining for me. And it's available on Region 1 DVD in the United States. And as always, I'll see you next time.